welcome to today's video. It is spooky season and today I'm turning myself pink. If you've been here before, you know the drill, but if you're new here, every year for Halloween, I do 3 different Halloween looks. The first one is something easy and low-key that anyone can do if they want to be part of the festivities but don't want to go all out. And for that, I created this cute chain eyeliner look this year. The second one, which you're watching right now, is something fun that you can do if you're going to a Halloween-themed party or event, which is usually my favorite one of the year as well. And then the third one is something a little bit more SFX based that's geared towards taking a really cool Halloween picture. So I hope you're looking forward to that, but for today I am making myself pink, and for that I'm using this chubby lip crayon that I've had for ages. You can use whatever colored base you want. I wouldn't recommend an eyeshadow because you're going to spend a lot of time getting it on your face and you're going to struggle to get it smooth, but you can use different colored foundations if you have access to those, face paint, face cream, or a lipstick if you're willing to burn through one. I am treating it like it's a regular foundation, so I put on primer everywhere and then I'm applying the lipstick as my foundation. But because I want to sell the look that all of me is this color, I also have to go down my neck and onto my ears. Because I'm not sure how well this color is going to blend, I try to get it all over my face, and only then did I go in with a beauty blender. And I use the beauty blender to get it as smooth as possible, to work it into all the creases, and to try and work it into my hairline as well. I am leaving my neck out for now just so that I can get a feel for how the product works before I go all the way down my neck, and I'll only be doing my hands after I've gotten dressed. It feels unnatural having to stick my beauty blender halfway into my hairline, but it does seem to work to blend the color in. And luckily I have dark hair, so you can't see where I did that. Now the important part of selling the illusion is really getting into all the small corners that give away what your actual skin color is. So I made sure to get it really close to my eyes so that you don't see a little bit of skin peeking out there. And the same goes for around my nose. Now that it looks like I have a really funky sunburn going on, it's on to the next step, which is just the normal next step in doing my makeup. So I'm gonna go in with concealer. I'm gonna see if I have a lighter lipstick that is a color that I think will match this. I'm gonna see if I also have a darker one that I can use for contour. Now I'm sticking to cream lipsticks for this because I need them to be able to blend. So what I'm gonna use under my eyes is this lipstick. That is a mess because I usually just mix it with other things, but it is a bright coral color and I wanna add a little bit of brightness to this. So I'm gonna put this on under my eyes just like regular concealer. And if it's not bright enough, I'll go in with normal concealer just to add that color. Everything is gonna need a clean after this because everything is gonna have a touch of pink to it, but that is all part of the fun. Now that I have all the creams on, I'm gonna set my face, and for that I'm gonna use a translucent setting powder. It has to be translucent, otherwise you're gonna add a touch of color to it and it might dull what you already have going on. But after that I am gonna go with some eyeshadow just to make sure this is all more uniform. It doesn't usually feel like doing my makeup is a very messy process because everything's already the same color, so you don't really see where everything goes. But now that I'm using a different color, I can see how the pink is spreading on everything and just how much the makeup I use gets on everything while I'm doing my makeup. Digging in my eyeshadow, I think this is the closest shade to what I already have on my face, so I am going to put this all over my face. Now because I want the color to go on uniform, I am using a big fluffy brush to apply this. You might be tempted to use a denser brush to get more pigment, but then you're gonna have patchy application and that's difficult to blend out. So just go something big and fluffy and stamp it all over your face and make sure to get it into your ears. To go back in with a lightness underneath my eyes, I'm gonna go in with this pink shade, and I'm gonna use my usual face brush to just try and apply it. So I'm really gonna dig it in there and then brighten up underneath my eyes. It happens that only once you see the two colors together do you realize that it doesn't really work. So I switched to something a bit of a different tone that matches better, and I'm just going to blend it all in so that you don't see that first color all that much. The pressure is really on to blend everything well because with the different colors you can really see what I'm doing. It's all standing out. But so far I'm having fun. Next I need to pick a contour shade, but I don't really want to go straight for a brown, so I think I'm gonna go with a red and test it out first. So I'm putting it on my normal contour brush and I'm going to try and contour my nose the way I usually do. And I'm also going to contour around my mouth and hopefully it'll help hide these edges where the lipstick's wearing off. The nose contour is a bit messy, but I don't want to do too much because it's going to disturb that base. So I'm going to go in with this reddish brown shade, try and get on this fluffy brush and contour the periphery of my face. The idea with that is it'll kind of distract from all the noise middle of my face and it'll look a little bit more balanced if the same color is on the periphery and everything will look connected instead of looking messy. The reason I keep going in with a big fluffy brush is because I'm trying my best to apply everything blended because it's difficult to blend a color once it's kind of stuck to this base. So I'm tapping on color as blended as possible and tapping over to blend it more instead of trying to swirl it around and buff it out. Now it's difficult to choose a blush color today because I already have so much red going on my face, but I think I'm going to go in with a color I started with underneath my eyes because it was vibrant and it stood out, and that way you will actually be able to see that I tried applying some blush. So I'm getting a lot of it onto the fluffy brush and I'm applying it right on the apples of my cheeks. And I'm going to try and add a few more brighter, lighter pinks that are in a bit of a different color family, because that way it will stand out a little bit and look like blush and not just like part of the skin tone. Blush on, time for highlighter. I'm gonna go for the obvious answer here. I'm gonna go with a nice shimmery pink. I'm gonna take it with my finger and I'm just gonna put on all the typical places. This pink is actually too bright now on this darker skin tone. I did not consider that. So I think I'm actually gonna go in with this dark pink red sparkle and see if this works better as a highlighter. Yeah, that does match the skin tone a little bit more. It is a little bronzy, but luckily I like a lot of highlighter, so that is a-okay with me. Now the look is definitely very busy, but I think it is starting to come together. It's starting to look like I have makeup on my face and not just a red mess. But I think what's really gonna bring this all together is when I start working on the defining features, because up until this point I've only really been working on the foundation. So next I'm gonna fill in my brows, and for the brows I'm gonna go with a brown one that's a bit darker than the one I usually use, but I'm not gonna try and go with the red. I didn't block out my brows, so I'm gonna fill them in nice and solid, and then while I'm at it I'm going to tight line my waterline. That way I hide all the skin that's there and then I can decide what I'm gonna do with my eyes. The other reason I'm deciding to keep my brows brown is because I'm not gonna change my hair. I'm not gonna put on a wig or anything, and I do want the hair on my face and the hair on my head to still match at the end of the day. I did, however, go in with a bit of a richer tone on my eyebrows just because my regular pomade looked a little pale in comparison, and I don't mind having prominent brows for a Halloween look. Going with a dark theme, I'm gonna go in with a dark lip, and I'm gonna do that before the eyeshadow because while I was thinking of doing a bold smoky eye, that might be a bit too much when we get to the lip, and it might look better to just do a simple wing with a bold lip than a bold eye and then not really have a simple lip option. So I'm gonna start with my black eyeliner to outline my lips, to do something dark and try and get a different tone than the rest of the skin. Now I tend to load up the lipstick while I go through different colors, trying to find something that I'm happy with. So I bite down on a piece of paper just to transfer off all the extra lipstick so that I don't end with something too slippery at the end. Now the difficulty about finding a different tone is you do want it to look a bit different from the foundation, but you don't want to go too different that it looks like it doesn't match anymore. So I can't really give you any advice beyond just play around and see what works for you. Finally, back to the eyes. I want the black that I had in the waterline to come out a little bit, so I'm picking up black on a thin eyebrow brush and I'm going to stamp it right on the edge so that the color bleeds out of my eye a little bit. I'm then also going to go in with the same color I used on my eyebrows, that slightly rich brown but very dark shade, and I'm going to use it to blend out that edge, give myself a little bit of a faded lower lash line. I think a nice big wing and big lashes is going to seal the deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with the same color I used to set my face, and I'm going to set my lid space because I don't want that to crease or move around as the day goes on. I say this, I'm going to wear this like for the rest of the day, but in case you're going to wear this out to a Halloween party, you want to set that area. And then I am going to highlight my inner corners, and I'm going to take a touch of that same dark color I have on the lower lash line, and I'm going to use it just to contour my eyes. It's basically just accentuate the natural crease of my eye so that there's a little bit more going on than just the wing. And then to add a little bit of sparkle, I'm just going to add a little bit right on my eyelid so that there's a touch of dimension going on. It might feel like I'm coming at you with a lot of information at once, but it just sounds confusing because it's not the colors you're used to. I'm just setting my lid, defining my crease, adding a bit of a shimmer, and drawing a wing. Now we're not going to be quite done after the wing is on, but it already ties it together. The final step is just going to be to add the lashes then. Now these wings did not turn out even at all, but they are large and in charge. So I'm going to throw on my biggest pair of lashes and you won't even see that they aren't matching. Honestly, the toughest part of this whole process now is going to be putting on something else that has a high color so I don't have to color in my chest as well. And then coloring in my hands so that I can show you the final product. Do you want to help me with the transition?
Yeah.
So you block the camera and then you lift your hand. There you go. Very different. Just put a sweater on. I got something on with a high collar and long sleeve so that I only have to color in a bit of my hand and not my whole arm, and I also have to paint my chest. And I decided to dress this up with a regular hoodie because this is normal. This is nothing out of the ordinary, or at least that's what we're trying to pretend, that I'm just a normal girl on a normal day who happens to be pink. I might have to make this hand a bit darker in post because, believe it or not, I ran out of this. It's about time. I've had that for ages, but then this is the final result. She's just a cute monster girl going about her day, going to a Halloween party, not dressed up as anything. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I am going to take a really long shower now, and fingers crossed my pores aren't pink for the next week. But I had a lot of fun, so I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye!